Welcome to Small Business, Big Network, the podcast for small business owners who want big results from their networking. I'm Liz Drury, a freelance voiceover artist who knows that if you're not working, then networking could help. Charlie Hunt is the founder of Origin and works as a fractional CFO and COO for small businesses. She says that when it comes to networking, you need to be prepared to talk about your business wherever you are. Thank you for being my guest today on the podcast, Charlie.
Thank you very much for having me.
So you're currently a fractional CFO, COO, so Chief Finance Officer, Operations Officer, is that right?
Yes, that is, yeah.
But what were you interested in at school? Was it finance or did you come to that later?
Yeah, that was later, not significantly later. Weirdly at school, I think I enjoyed some of the more creative subjects and certainly sport. So I did things like media studies and drama. I actively avoided anything too academic. So I didn't do anything like IT or history or geography. Quite unusual. And also saying maths wasn't something that I was especially great at. I was okay. Certainly wasn't something that I've been dreaming of doing since I was a small child at all. So it was more of a natural progression into that world once I actually started working.
Yeah, I think you see CFO and think, oh, they must have been into maths. Clearly not.
No, unfortunately, most of the sort of hard maths is done for me by good accounting software.
Always helps. So tell me about post-school then. What did you go on and do after that?
Yeah, so I did A-levels. I suppose I hadn't given it an awful lot of thought, and because there wasn't anything I was specifically passionate about, that felt like a nice way to continue doing like a mix of subjects. And then the time came to decide what I was going to do at university, and I didn't go. There wasn't something that I wanted to study. I wanted to start working. I was really interested in being able to work and study at the same time. And I think I went to a careers coach at college, and they helped me work through what I'd enjoyed, what I was good at. And I think at the time there was some like training programs that had come up within retail banking. So companies like Lloyds Bank, Halifax Bank of Scotland had programs that you could apply for post A-level and sort of train and learn while you were working. And that really appealed to me, the opportunity to start working, start earning money. And that's what I did. I applied to work at HBOS. I did a short training program in London, and then they set me off in a branch. So I worked in branch, customer facing, for about 2 years. And it was a really interesting way of developing a lot of skills very quickly. A real mix of like customer facing stuff and being able to handle in the moment queries, learning a lot about banking in terms of mortgages, loans, insurances, all things that I had absolutely no concept of at school at 18.
No.
So quite terrifying, but it was good. But I did work in retail banking during 2008, which was obviously the financial crash in the UK and the US. And it really shifted. It was no longer a place that I enjoyed working. There was dealing with customers became a lot more difficult. There was a lot of negative press around bankers' bonuses, which obviously didn't apply to a 19-year-old me working in branch. But it just shifted, and it made me reevaluate, is this something I can picture myself doing longer term? What aspects of the job do I actually enjoy? And it was the numbers that I started to enjoy and explore what could a career look like in finance.
Yeah. So where did you go from there, having decided which bit of the job you liked the best?
Yeah, so I started looking at how I could study and work and do a more sort of vocational qualification, because I didn't have a degree and I didn't have like a maths A-level. There's a qualification that's called AAT, so Association of Accounting Technicians.
Yeah.
And I was able to study that. That took 3 years. And I did that alongside moving into a larger corporate, working in their different finance teams. And it was great. I got a lot of exposure. The qualification itself was brilliant. It wasn't chartered accountancy. It wasn't high level stuff. It was really granular how finance works in business. It was a very practical qualification.
Yeah.
And that then enabled me to move into the world of small business as a qualified accounting technician. And I started working in different SMEs as a finance manager and eventually grew to finance director.
Yeah. And at what point in your journey did you decide that you wanted to work for yourself?
So I worked in marketing for about 7 or 8 years, and there was a real shift by moving into SMEs. I was able to explore not just finance, but the operational side of business as well, and how the numbers work themselves across into people, into process, into systems. And I think being lucky enough to work in a senior position at quite a young age, so as a finance director at 26, I started looking at how a business operates at a top level. I was working very closely with founders and business owners, and I wanted to work for myself, but didn't know how I could do that with my skill set. I just envisaged that I would probably always be a finance or operations director working for someone. But actually, I started working for a company remotely, client facing. So working on finance and operations projects for scaling startups. And that really gave me a scope of, okay, there's a product here, a service in myself, by being able to work across multiple clients, doing very similar stuff to being a finance director, but doing it for more than one company, which gave me great variety. And it was at that point that I thought, okay, there's something here that I have to offer myself as a service.
Yes. Yeah. So was being self-employed something that was always on your radar, or you came to it more latterly?
I think it's somewhere between the two. I think I always loved the idea of being able to work for myself. I felt like I have a lot to offer as a business owner and how I'd like to run things and operate things, but I just couldn't see how I could apply that. So it was only when I started working in sort of more of a consultant role that I could see, great, this is something I'd love to do for myself. And also the rise of the word fractional. So around the same time, this sort of fractional approach to having seniority in a business without having to have them full-time was being talked about more. Roles are being advertised more like that. And I could just see there's an opportunity here where I can be self-employed and offer my skill set to a mix of businesses.
Yeah. So when did that happen? How long have you been working for yourself now?
Yeah, I'm coming up to 2 years.
So still quite new. How's it going? You still enjoying it?
I'm loving it. Yeah, it's great. I'm getting that variety, and I can see the value of being able to work for startups, scale-ups, SMEs, the value they get without having to have that full-time exec role in their business.
Yeah. So tell me about how your business works then. You work for a number of different companies. How many at one time?
Yeah, look, everybody asks that. So it's like how many can you split yourself across? And in some ways, I'm still gauging that actually. It really depends on who the clients are and what they need.
Yeah.
So I kind of work in a days per month approach for ongoing clients. So I can either work with clients, for 3, 6, 12 months longer, if that's what they're looking for, if they want that permanent fractional person in their business. Or I do projects where I can come in, look at what they're aiming to achieve, look at their systems, processes, and help them either plan out a scope for change and that impactful change, or I can stay around to help implement that change. So it does really depend. So I think the most clients I've worked with at once was around 6. And some of those, that would have been 1 or 2 days a month, others up to 5, 6 days a month.
Yeah.
But I think it works best when there's around 3 or 4 ongoing clients with ad hoc project work as well.
Yeah. So who do you work for? Who are your clients? What kinds of businesses?
Yeah, so when I first started out, because the majority of my experiences within digital marketing, I envisaged that being my entire client base.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start working for yourself, that isn't always like a clear option.
Yeah.
So you take the work that comes your way within reason. And I do work within that space. That is something I have had clients in digital marketing, and I do really enjoy working with them. But I work with SaaS companies, e-commerce companies, recruitment, some different ed tech businesses. So there's a real mix
Yeah.
in there.
And where are they? Local to you? Nationwide? International?
Both. So I do have clients local to me. So I'm in Bristol, and I love that. I love to go in and be part of the business. I
Mm-hmm.
think I've said the expression impactful change. I think that happens much faster in person, especially building up trust with business owners
Yeah.
around the change they'd like me to support with. I think being there in person, understanding the dynamics within a business is my preferred approach.
Yeah.
But I do also work for businesses remotely.
Yeah.
So I've had clients in Cambridge, London, the Midlands, Manchester. Yeah, real mix.
And what difference would you say your work makes to your clients? What kind of feedback have you had from them?
Yeah, that's a really interesting one, actually. I did a round of feedback early this year, because that's one thing you don't get when you work for yourself in the same way. You don't have quarterly reviews or annual
Yeah.
reviews. So to get that feedback, I went out to clients that I've either finished working with or was working with ongoing. And I think it was a really good exercise, actually, because it showed that maybe things I'd done had created impact that I wasn't aware of. So it's dependent upon the project, but just getting things aligned, feeding back that actually the numbers look good, could look better. These are things that sometimes, when a business owner is really in the depths of running their own business, they don't know how things compare to, say, other companies in the sector. So just giving them that generalized feedback that I've gained from being able to work across a mix of businesses has been really good, I think, for the businesses I've worked with. Also, having maybe a bit of an eye-rolling expression, but fresh set of eyes on the business, feedback on how teams are doing. I think the work I do is quite often more people-focused than it sounds. CFO, COO sounds like numbers and systems, but actually it's how those numbers and systems impact the people, or how the people use those numbers and systems. So getting feedback that, my sort of energy and approach to working with teams was really impactful was great. I deliver training as part of what I do as well, to support growth within finance and operational teams.
Yeah.
And I supported with a couple of big business changes as well. So there was a management buyout that I was a part of, and also a round of investment for a client too.
Yeah, it all sounds like very exciting, and lots of variety in there.
Yeah, there really is.
So 2 years in then, is self-employment different to what you thought it would be?
I think it's exactly what I thought it would be, actually. Yeah. I expected the variety. I expected the pace of what I do. And that's been really gratifying, very enjoyable. And yeah, I think working with small businesses, because that has been the majority of my career, it is very similar to what I was doing before. Just it's sort of the responsibility point stops with me.
Yes. So would you say that networking is something that comes naturally to you?
Yeah, I think the people skills element of it does. When you work in a business as the finance director or operations director, it is very important that you're good at communicating with a complete range of stakeholders,
Yeah.
from the owners through to everybody else in the team, external suppliers, clients. So you really have to hone your communication skills. And I think that lends itself to being good at networking.
Yeah. And how do you like to network? Do you like to go to meetings? Do you do it online, or how do you grow your network?
Yeah, I've done both actually. I think in person is absolutely my favorite.
Hmm.
Obviously, we have LinkedIn, which is a very powerful networking tool in terms of being able to reach people very quickly and find people that you want to contact, which is great.
Yeah.
But the in-person approach, I just think is so much faster. And the chemistry that you get with somebody by being able to do that is much quicker. And
Yeah.
also working by yourself can be lonely.
Yes.
So actually getting out there and mixing at those events is really important. And you just have no idea who you might meet.
Yeah.
I think the online networking is usually quite specific to sector or role type.
Hmm.
So being able to go to a broader networking event is yeah, definitely my preferred option.
Yeah. And what do you get from it? What is it that keeps you going back to networking?
The socialization is really important when it comes to talking about what you do, understanding what other people do, what space they're working in, challenges that they're facing. Again, I think that in person networking, people are more open to talk about how their business is actually doing.
Mm.
Um, there's no sort of facade that maybe you get on LinkedIn. So I think that's really important. And just being able to feel comfortable to reach back out to someone. I think once you've met them in person and had a 30-minute chat about how their company is doing or who they've been hiring, the clients they've recently brought on, you feel really comfortable to then, reach out over email. It was great to meet you. Should we catch up again? I think
Yeah.
it lays that foundation for a proper relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that there's a right way and a wrong way to go about networking?
Oh, that is a really good question. I think it would really depend on what you're doing and the sector that you're in. But no, I don't think so. I think you can never be too sure. It's the wrong way to word it. I think you never know who you're going to meet or the
Hmm.
conversation that you might have. So unless you're out there having those conversations and meeting people, you just don't know what it could lead to. So a really good example is one of my clients who I've been working with for over a year, who I have a fantastic relationship with and love working with the business. I met when I worked in a serviced office space, and we just used to chat making coffee in the
Yeah.
morning. I'd ask how he was getting on. He'd ask the same. And when I told him that I was setting up as a fractional CFO, he was, do you know what? Actually, in a couple of months, I think I'm going to need to reach out to you.
Yeah.
And that was just from, chatting on a Monday, making a coffee.
Yeah. Yeah. You just never know where the leads are going to come from sometimes, do you?
Yeah, this is it. And I think that's really important to remember. So is there a wrong way to network? Maybe just, being stood at your coffee machine, not wanting to engage with anybody, or in your shared kitchen, wherever you're based. Even at the gym, you just don't know where you're going to meet people. And I think it's good to be prepared to talk about what you do and what you offer.
Yeah. Yeah. Wherever you are.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, what difference would you say that networking has made to your business?
That it's the entirety of how I got my clients.
Yeah.
Um, Everybody I have worked with today, I either knew before or had a connection to the business owner through my existing network, um, or it's from previous companies I've worked with recommending me.
Yeah.
So it's been incredibly impactful. You are correct. It is, 2 years is a very short space of time to run a business, but I have been really fortunate that those 2 years have been incredibly busy. And that is just off the back of years of engaging, chatting, remembering people, connecting with them on LinkedIn, reaching out over email, asking how things are going, and just feeling comfortable that actually that I know them, don't be nervous. I think
Yeah.
sometimes when you're growing your network, it can be quite nerve-wracking to
Mm.
to reach out in a cold manner to people you don't know.
Yeah.
So leverage that existing network. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you very much for being my guest, Charlie. Just one last question. If people want to connect with you, what's the best place for them to find you?
Yeah, it's on LinkedIn. Charlie Hunt on LinkedIn. And yeah, reach out.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much, and the best of luck for the next 2 years and more.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Small Business Big Network. If you found this podcast useful, please do rate, review and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with the rest of your network too.